Hello, everybody. It is me, GamePing21, and today it is time to play and watch and do some things. So, with the year coming to a close, the looming threat of the entirety of the gaming industry's collective soul crashing down upon my shoulders, mainly because of the Game Awards, which is coming, I think, this week, maybe over the weekend. I think that it's time to essentially go over through the year of my comment section. Now, I get a lot of comments more often than I think I do. Not all of my videos have comments under them, obviously, because I'm a smaller channel, but not all of them are bad. In fact, most of them are very nice. I get a lot of comments from friends and people who are like, "Oh, these videos are really good," and just like push it through stuff and end up having some interesting conversations. But some more interesting conversations comes along in the sense of some of these comments being kind of unhinged. Now, I'm not sure where some of these comments come from, as I didn't get the video in them. But there is one little update that I did want to do to kind of kick off this whole review of comments for this year type deal and to get some content out of it because I don't want to go onto Twitter because obviously I don't want to go onto Twitter. With that being said, if you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any other way, shape, or form other than a like and subscribe, which is always enough, please hit those links down in the description below. There will be some new music probably coming in the early next year, so look out for that. Without further ado, let's start off with a little bit of a situation that I talked about before. Now we have, of course, Good Guy Dave here. There's actually 3 comments here. I'm fairly certain that I ended up including only about 1 or 2 of these in the full video, but the video that I am talking about is the Nintendo fanboy Harmon Smith one, which was the comment video that it was left under, but I put this at the tail end of my video on this situation, which has to do with SRS, or the Birdman himself. Or AI Birdman. He essentially, so this person, Good Guy Dave, was on the side of the Confederacy of United Modders. Yes, that is a funny acronym if you listen to it, but of course he had to come in and basically say, "Hey, you're a collaborator with Moment of Sanity and Rinse. Please don't do that." To which I responded him to say and kick rocks, to which he then responded with one of the members of the Confederacy of the United Modders. Yes, again, that is, I wasn't just a joke, is Chris Avallone, and maybe if you're interested, we can have Chris Avallone appear on your channel. Now, Chris Avallone is apparently, I believe, one of the creators of Fallout, and obviously this was a bribe. I again told him to kick rocks and to do that other stuff, and he says it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter. What matters is that what you should stay on All Out Monty's good side if you want your channel to survive. Considering that my channel is still here, and literally your channel and most of the other people's channels who are involved have either gone underground or no longer exist. SRS deleted everything. Yeah, there's that. But the little bit of the update here that I didn't actually get the screenshots of, but I did make the video in the end, and he did end up commenting on it. That is Good Guy Dave specifically. And he basically said, "Hey, at least I know more about this one particular individual." To which I then said, "Hey, I also know about the crash of the 80s of the video game industry." To which he then responded, "Well," and then I basically just gave him some useless information and said, "Hey, at least we both know information about that." And he said, "Well, at least I'm more informed." I'm like, "Well, I basically did it from my perspective, and I wasn't as informed." I made that very clear in the video that this was a my perspective, my opinion type video. And it didn't have much in the way of content other than my own opinion, which I made very clear I don't have the full story. I even linked more sources to other people who were more involved than me in that situation. But putting that behind us today, moving on to a more interesting thing. This one's actually one that I didn't expect to be in this sort of thing. This one is on my Steam Deck v Samsung review of the reviewer expert review zone. This was where in the video he said that the better experience of the video, or the better experience, was not the Rogue Ally, was not this, but was his phone, the Samsung Fold 2, I believe. or made it very clear that there was a lot of problems in it, mainly in the fact that it's a phone, whereas the Steam Deck itself is a actual device that is a computer. So, yeah. But let's read this from Evtav here, who says, "Oh yeah, Samsung could be very good because it is so much easier to see the screen to play than those PC-based games compared to that tiny Steam junk screen." The Steam Deck's screen is about the size of a tablet, and in some cases, I think the Samsung Fold is actually smaller, if I'm looking at the actual dimensions of it correctly. Though I'm not too certain, haven't measured. Where I basically asked him if you are joking, to which he says, "Please tell me your pathetic video was a joke." Again, this is me basically saying that a phone does not compare to a basically portable PC. To which I then basically come back with him for something. He comes in with you need to play Elden Ring and Black Ops on a PS5 or a gaming PC with proper monitor. Playing them on a puny, pathetic Steam Deck is pathetic. At least Samsung Fold has a bigger, crisper screen than the underpowered Steam Deck that plays Elden Ring at a miserable 25 FPS. Yes, but you can't play Elden Ring on your phone. Verbatim. Unless you have, say, I don't even know if it's on Game Pass. Like, if it was on Game Pass and you could play it on your phone, that's fucking impressive. I would actually be seeing what the hell that would be like. But you can't, because it wasn't brought up in the video. And even if you can, or as far as I know you can't, even if you could, like, that's still impressive, but I can play it more natively on my Steam Deck. And if I can't play that, I can play a bunch of other games that continuously get support and updates. He continues saying that the Fold 6 is a lot more has a lot more to play than pathetic Elden Ring at 25 FPS on a tiny screen. He keeps bringing that up, by the way. He's very, very peeved about that. Steam Deck is a joke, despite the fact that it's become the #1 seller on Steam, or was the #1 seller in hardware on Steam for months on end. It can't play AAA games at acceptable frame rates, and any indie games are played better on Nintendo Switch. Yes, because the Nintendo Switch has so many indie games on it. The only thing that is good for is playing emulation. EmuDeck is to play old retro games, but even that is better on the Ars Rogue Alloy. That's more of an opinion. If you like the Rogue Alloy, congratulations. I liked this, and again, you're comparing a phone to a dedicated PC device that's like a console. So it's really incomparable, because with the phone, you actually have to make extra purchases on top, because in the video, he specifically says if you get a controller with it, then you actually end up working with it. Which, again, for the Fold, you have to pay like 3 to 4 times as much as a Steam Deck. So, again, incomparable, really. But moving on, this next section is dedicated all to like the Warhammer thing. I'm not sure where specifically this video where this comic comes from, but this comes from the time when they were, I think, talking about like the whole Warhammer situation and the whole woke thing. I think I was talking about Space Marine 2 in particular. Again, I don't remember the specifics, but the specifics don't really matter when you come to the context of some of these. Pineapple Gender here, Pineapple Gender, very interesting name I just read, saying, "I actually think that all these comments are very low-key. I feel like the problem is that they're not taking the problem into their own hands. They could have the factions of bi individuals, but I'm not mad because there's no Sisters of Battle." Now, again, I think that this was not really the most unhinged thing, but he was talking about, I think, the comments in the video, that is, the comments of the people who were trying to defend the whole getting women into the Warhammer thing. I don't think that I've kind of adjusted my opinion, saying I don't think that it's the best idea, because the idea that I had here was if you're pissing off your core audience, that's kind of bad because it's a marketing thing. So, yeah, I make it very clear to him as well later as in this as well. So he then also says that plus I think failing your old audience in this instance isn't bad because I'm pretty sure Warhammer has a heavy problem. I'm not going to say it. But it this comes back to like a lot of things here. Like I was being called that German soldier because I played on PC, so that sort of thing is meaningless. And saying like, oh, it has a big problem is essentially not understanding that those types of people exist in all communities. And some people say, oh, well, they exist here, 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 and here, so all these communities are bad. And it's like, they're super small, and most people denounce them anyway. It's just that the most accepting communities tend to attract the people who are, in essence, trying to be validated in one way or another. And not all of those people trying to be validated are good. And he basically, again, saying you're failing your old audience in this instance isn't bad because because the Warhammer community has this kind of problem. No, like I don't understand how else to say it, but no, they don't have this kind of problem because I don't think anyone really believes in that. They're just kind of role playing as these kinds of things. I make it very clear to him and say, I get that, but my biggest thing is if you're inclusive, but not only failing to draw a new audience, but also failing the audience that you've got, why do it? It works. If it works, why change it now? And I kind of disagree with this point, and yes, this is my own point here. And I'm saying that if it works, why change it? If it works and it works good, there's a possibility that it could work better. But I do think that in some cases, if it starts to fail, you should go back and retry it from a different angle in some cases. He says that he then basically comes back and says that absolutely correct. Thing is, though, they felt comfortable enough in that community and agreed with their ideology that went into the physical events. They being like that online is okay, in my opinion. Is there is a space for everyone type shit, but they shouldn't have felt that confident that they showed up in person. American kind of. So, I don't know where this came from. Basically, I've kind of forgotten the conversation, but essentially, I mean, I agree. I'm also American. I don't care so long as like you're not burning houses and stuff. If you're like, I'm the most middle fence sitting person in the world, I think, at this moment, because I don't care what you believe in, how you believe in it. I don't care about your religion, your anything, your color, whatever. Who the fuck cares? You're all a person to me. You're a nice if you're a nice person, you're a nice person. You deserve to be held in a high regard. But if you fuck up, you better take responsibility for your fuck up, regardless of anything else. Like, if you agree with a specific ideology and you idolize that thing to an extreme degree, as an example, for, say, I do not care for religion, but for me, if you're trying to force your religion onto, say, me or someone else, I'm good. I don't need religion in my personal life. It's fine, and I don't really believe in a higher power except for Cthulhu Fhtagn. So, it's just really funny. At the end of the day, it's just kind of dumb that this was a thing at some point. Comes in, and again, I don't know where the conversation went from here. He says, other thing, what you supposed to mean, the problem, you can agree being he says, other thing, what you mean, suppose problem, you can agree being that is bad, just making sure you're free to your own opinion and all that jazz. I mean, I was agreeing that being that is bad. And he continues on here, and I basically bring up D&D 5e and how I think a lot of the stuff that people were talking about was actually going downhill due to trying to be more inclusive, because at the end of the day, the thing is that being inclusive is actually in some cases being exclusive, because it doesn't work unless you know what you're doing, is probably the way that I can basically sum this whole thing up. He said, and this says Warhammer's meant for everyone. I never said that Warhammer wasn't meant for everyone. I was just disagreeing with the opinions of the people that were trying to go against like established lore and established other things. And I'm not the hugest of Warhammer fans. I've brought this up at a couple of different things. I don't know that much about it, but Warhammer is for everyone, absolutely. No question there. But if you can't relate to the media, it's probably not meant for you, is my whole point that I was trying to make there. Probably made it a little bit bad, but yeah. And again, he comes in again with the whole inclusivity thing, because I brought in, because he brought it up. This is all out of order. But he brought up Overwatch 2 and a bunch of these other things, and how a bunch of them were like, oh, these are all inclusive, because it's like they're not really. Mortal Kombat isn't inclusive at all. Like I don't even think it's inclusive at all. With Fortnite probably being the only example, but that's because Fortnite is what Fortnite is. It's like the same thing as Minecraft. Overwatch 2 actually became a very inclusive. And yeah, it was successful for a time, but they fucked it up with Overwatch 2. If you brought up Overwatch 1, maybe you would have had a point there. D&D 5e had a lot of controversies, and is still having a lot of controversies thanks to trying to be inclusive. Street Fighter, again, had a similar problem. It was just real weird, and it's like, again, I'm probably doing a lot of these out of order, but this is the order that I have them in. To where he finally comes in here and says, I guess this is an agree to disagree. 5e appealed to modern audiences, and it's become widespread. Yes, but it didn't do that because it was inclusive. It actually did that because it was, a good system that a lot of people were very beginner-friendly and could easily get into. It had nothing to do with inclusivity. It had everything to do with the design of the game itself. In my personal opinion, I just don't see a reason Warhammer can't do the same. Good day, good video, keep it up. And I mean, I guess so. Saying that it's an agree to disagree type thing is true, but also not, because I agree that in some cases, being more inclusive, it can be helpful, but in other cases, it can fuck over your thing super hard if you just don't know what you're doing, which a lot of these companies don't, unless, it's whatever. But, one of those things where, again, it was just out of order. But we continue here talking to FaZe Vervods, I guess, saying, bro, I'm not even in elementary school. Wake me up when they start charging money. It's 10 times more cringe to freak out over a tweet by a corporation with the word woke. Now, this one was actually on the Godot situation. And I actually wasn't freaking out over it. I was basically saying that they handled the situation wrong, and I was making sure that people understood that I wasn't mad at Godot. They fucked up, and I was calling them out on their shit, and I only felt that I needed to make that video because I also talked about how Unity fucked up earlier that year. So I had to kind of balance the scales, as it were, talking about one thing without talking about and making sure that the other thing wasn't at least under some sort of critique isn't the way that I do things. That's how, you end up with people who try to call you out on this stuff. I wasn't freaking out about it, and I didn't say, hey, there's no money stuff. I was talking about how in some cases people were getting banned despite being supporters of the actual system, which they didn't charge money, correct? Same thing that Unity doesn't. But, however, they did ban people who were actually using Godot and giving Godot money to continue the project. So that's more or less where that came from. I didn't actually freak out over it. I, again, was just calling out and said, hey, this is a bad marketing move because you didn't finish the joke or you didn't make references to it. You just kind of said the thing and then defended your point without giving context. So I gave context, and I'm the bad guy, apparently, because I'm, quote, freaking out over someone fucking up marketing, which I am very much a investor, or not an investor, but like a very much interested topic that I like. So I don't see the problem here. Next up here, we have Peace with, it made me want to contribute to the engine. I'm a solo engineering dev, currently hacking my way at my thingy because it's based AF. I am not the only one, so I'd say it's pretty damn good marketing. And I mean, in some cases, yeah, this type of marketing can work, but if the general consensus is that the marketing itself fucking backfired, it's still bad marketing. So just because you agree with what they said doesn't necessarily mean that everyone did. That's why marketing is kind of a push-pull type thing. You have to try to market your product, or at least to market the idea of your product to as many people as possible, but still understand that you have a core audience that you are aiming for. If you get anything outside of that core audience, it's more of a bonus rather than what you're actually trying to accomplish. So, To which he finally says, speak for yourself on what people want. And I mean, I do speak for myself. I don't speak for what other people want. I speak for me. And I've always spoken for me. That's how this channel works. That's what this channel is built on. So, and I do that on purpose, so that way, whatever. But I think, some more modern stuff here from me. Actually, a couple videos ago, talking about Stalker 2 and PlayStation fanboys being salty. Talking over here about Black Honk 2037 with you trying to hoop up a broken, unfinished game. Your life has come to this. Yeah, considering the fact that that video nearly has 500 views and my average is like 20 to 30. I am very happy with how that life came out to be. And I also have a job outside of this, and I also had work for people who, actually love and respect what it is that I do. So yeah, this is where my life has come to. I do this for funsies. Congratulations on the support. Very much thank you. And speaking of very much support, someone comes in here and comments on my AI Minecraft short, which I do shorts every day, or at least I attempt to. I've been trying to keep up with that, where Wilbur comes in here with peak yapping. I then basically told him, hey, thanks for the support, to which someone was like, where's the support? And it's like, well, when you comment on this video, and when you comment on any of my videos, it helps push it through the algorithm and push it to more eyeballs. So thank you so much for commenting on a video that you apparently hate. Hate watching is still fun. But I think that we'll end it off with this. And I am not sure where I pulled this comment from or what video this is under, but I wanted to talk about it because there's a lot of funny to hear. First off, we have the anti-furry thing, which I think is that profile picture, which is hilarious. Then we also have his thing saying Brendan War News 2268, which you were so close to greatness. Unfortunate. And that's where this comment is like here, where it says, repent and give Jesus and give your life to Jesus. He loves you. Turn away from cursing or lust, for God's way is better. All I have to say to that is r/religious fruitcake. I think that'll about do it for this episode of me yapping into a microphone for about 20 to 30 minutes on various topics. I think that really what we learned here today is that my comment section is mostly really good stuff, considering that I do only do these about twice a year. But I love every single comment that I get, and I will try to respond to every single comment I get. Not everyone deserves a response, because some people are obviously trolling, and it's hard to inevitably respond to every comment whenever it comes out because I barely get any. But overall, I do try to respond to the comments that I know are really nice and interesting, but also the ones that are kind of salty and upsetting because, it's just really fun to poke a bear once in a while. I'll do the same thing on Twitter, and it's nice that I can finally kind of do the whole, what was it, Ouroboros thing, kind of eat my own tail, where my content generates salt under my comments, and they give me more video ideas and things like that. Just a fun time all around. But I think that'll about do it for today's episode of Yapping. If you like what it is that I do, want to support me in any other way, shapes, or form, thank you so much for watching, and hit that like, subscribe, and all those links down in the description below, especially if you want to support me monetarily. All of my music is down in the description below. All of my live streams and other things down in the description below. And overall, yeah, that'll about do it. My name is GamePango21. My comments section can seriously be a salt mine and a piece off.
Hey man, can I get a favor? Yeah, sure, I know, see you later. Sometimes I just wanna be a hater. Gotta wash down the top 40s with a chaser. Your voice starts feeling like a waiter, scraping my mind against a cheese grater. Before you go, sir, you have to sign a waiver. That's alright, I'm aware of the danger. You wanna get away? You better get in line. Won't go another day of wasting any time. I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. No